G'day and welcome. So today we are going to go through Ableton Live 11. I know there's plenty of videos out there on the features of Live 11, so I'm not going to go into every single detail and every single plugin, but I just want to cover a few things. Some of the most important things for me are the new MIDI track lanes and the recording on the fly, and obviously the audio comping, so you can do the same with MIDI and the same with audio. You can just literally keep on taking loops on the fly and spinning them around. So I'm just going to switch my screens and we'll get started. Okay, so yes, Ableton Live 11 has been out a few weeks now. There are plenty of videos out there, so you know, if you do want to sort of check out some of those videos, I'll show you those in a second, but just going to quickly go over what we're going to cover today. So we're just going to walk through Live, some of the new features, some of the Live's resources that you can get direct from their website, and now can actually, instead of doing that and downloading and installing the packs like the old traditional way, you can actually just download them and it installs straight into Live. So I'm just going to go through a demo of some of the resources and the tools, and just quickly cover about Max for Live tools, which has been embedded in Ableton Live now. They have added those into some of the plugins as well, into the modulators here. Envelope, Follower, LFO and Shaper, these are Max for Live plugins. And then we're going to start a little bit of a track idea with the MIDI scale function and just sort of record a bass line on the fly. I've already got a bass line that I did here. And I'm just going to show you take lanes. So we right click and you can see I've been messing around with different takes, and what it does is, if you got this MIDI pattern here, so if I made a change here, I could just highlight that, press enter, and it will just include that then into the actual MIDI part there. So obviously as I continue to build the track across, I can send my take lanes across as well, and you can continue to build up a map. So if you made a change here, for example, you just highlight that, press that in, and if there was a change inside that MIDI part, you could go in there and move a few notes around, and then if you want that to appear at the top, you just highlight it and it will change it into the MIDI pattern there. So that's a really useful tool, especially when you are recording on the fly. So you'll notice one of the first features when you go into Ableton Live, there's been an overlook on the audio effects. We've actually got categories now, which is really useful for new starting producers, so they can actually get a little bit more understanding of what a delay and a loop plugin will do, rather than sort of, you know, just drop a plugin on and hope for the best. Really, they have tried to sort of separate everything, so everything to do with drive and color. The Redux has had an overall as well, fantastic little plugin now with a filter built in. We've got obviously everything in EQs, dynamics wise, all your gates, your compressors, limiters, multiband dynamics, and those modulators I just showed you from Max for Live. We've got pitch modulation, reverbs, and the new hybrid reverb, which is a new convolution reverb. You could download a convolution pack before from the Ableton website, but now they've included the new plugin hybrid. That actually takes real-time scenarios like a real church. They actually sample real venues and include that into the reverb of the sound. So again, we've got sort of resonators in there, a reverb spectral resonator, which is again a new plugin, another spectral resonator, and we do have a spectral delay, I believe, as well, a spectral time delay there as well, which is fantastic for taking up sounds, chopping them up and really making small glitchy delays out of those. Useful on just very single sounds like snares, vocal hits. It can get too messy if you get too complicated with it as well. The usual, there's standard in MIDI effects, but you've noticed that there's a few extra tools. We've got experimental in the MIDI effects rack, rhythmic, utility plugins, so chord echo, variations, one note twist, scale driver. So much stuff, too much here to go through individually. It'll be a case that if I go through something, find a very useful plugin and come up with something useful with it, I will introduce it as a quick tip and post that on the channel. So again, expression control, we don't have anything there. MIDI envelopes, we got some new MIDI envelope controllers, impact echoes, slow attack decay sustain release envelopes here, which are pretty useful to use as a you know, to create an attack. If you've got a synth that hasn't got an attack control on it and a decent envelope, you can reshape it yourself. The usual with Chorda and arpeggiator. These were there before. Note echo is new. The MPE control as well, because now some of the plugins come with MPE control. We have also some random plugins. New Blue, Chaos, Drama, Fifth. Yet to have a look at what these are. The standard scale plugins, and we've got the usual velocity plugins, which are there as well, which act as a sort of a velocity control at the click of a button. But you don't need to sort of do that so much now as well, because you have got this new randomize function in the MIDI clip view. So when we come into MIDI clips, and if you've got, say, a piano part, you can randomize the velocity range. We can also set a velocity range now inside these velocity notes. And if we were to highlight, say, this section, you can find that there is a range. I think, do I have to click one of the, but there is a range that we can actually set the velocity note ranges now, and the velocities will actually play in a specific range. I just can't seem to at this particular moment. Note off, note on. I had this working the other day, so you can literally just highlight the velocity and you set yourself as a range, but it seems to be eluding me at the moment. But we will come back to those. I'm sure I'll discover what's going on, but as I say, it's all new to me. I'm still getting in there. I just want to sort of go through recording. For example, this bass line, I'm going to play a bass line on the fly. I'm just going to keep on recording and taking that. I'm going to switch on show my take lanes, because I want you to see what happens when I keep recording these through. I'm just going to delete these two take lanes to start with. Show take lanes on. I'm just going to record a bass line playing through. Now, my music skills are not brilliant. I understand my theory, but I'm not brilliant at playing, so my timing sometimes is out. So this is a great feature for me to actually start recording, because I might get the bass line right, and then other parts I might get it wrong, and then I might get another part right, and it helps me just piece together the idea that I'm looking for a lot quicker than recording it, trying to move the notes around. I tend to record mostly with the quantize off. I've also got my punch in and punch out. Now I'm going to show the info down here, because it's important when you're learning a new sequencer, especially with live. If you hover over things, it tells you exactly what's going on the left hand side here. So info view. So if there is punch in switch and punch out switch. So that will allow me to punch in and punch out. So if at any particular time throughout your recording, you can actually start to just punch in a new bassline idea on the fly and punch it out, and it will just literally imprint into one of the new lanes. So let's just start recording this sort of 4/5 bar loop in a second. I'll come back to that, but I just want to go over some of the other features, and I want to show you these packs. So as I mentioned, and that's our new website, and I'll come to that towards the end. If you come over to the Ableton Live website, you have all of these packs, and you used to be able to just download these packs, go over to have a listen to them. For example, I was looking for some electric pianos or electric keyboards, so we have a listen to these. And that's perfect. Okay, so I could just download this, or download for Live 10, which I still have installed, but I could just download this. And I used to be able to go over to the packs and you file install pack. But now, if you click on available packs here, you can literally just download it straight into the set. And we were looking for electric pianos. It looks like it's in alphabetical order now. So where are we? What are they called? Electric keyboards. Electric keyboards, there we go. So it's saying it's 7.8 gig now. It used to be before, yeah, installation size 7.8 gig. So we're not going to go with that one for now. It's a little bit too big. I just wanted to find something small. It says here it's 200. Oh yeah, it's quite a big file. So for example, we could go for, oh, I don't know, the drum machines, guitars and bass. What have we got? Quickly install. ECUs, that's quite good, the simplification. Synth Essentials, yeah, that might be useful. We'll go down with that, Synth Essentials. So Synth Essentials, 800 meg, and click on download, and off we go. So I'm just going to let that download in the background when I go through some of the other features. So obviously once you come into here, you can come to your packs. You can see I've got sort of creative extensions, drive and glow. I've got the instant house plugin, which is that drum machine. Probability packs by Sonic Faction. So this is like a probability plugin. Drums. So I'm just going to drop a few things on this probability pack and this creative pack. Creative extensions, I've got audio effects, MIDI effects, I don't want that. Instruments, maybe the bass. So I'll just bring the sub in there for just for later on. I'm just bringing a few things in as I say, in live. So I'm going to check on our pack, see how we're getting on. Install. Okay, we're ready to install. And it's as simple as that, guys. So you know, you can sort of come over to Synth Essentials. You can check it out on the website, Synth Essentials. Let's have a look. So it's quite a harsh sounding synth, but there might be some nice textures and tones in there that can be useful. I just sort of wanted to cover that really and show you how you could install something very, very quickly onto there. If you're sort of struggling for inspiration, there's so much sort of free stuff available, drums, everything. You know, you name it. Look, you've got Beat Tools, Bombastic. It's just literally, it is endless, and you could spend hours and trying to and get nothing actually created. And this is what's going to move me on to tomorrow's session. In tomorrow's session, what we're actually going to do is start to develop how to develop your own sound. So I'm going to start sort of breaking things down, developing your own bass lines, developing a chord structure pattern. And messing around with synthesizers to come up with some unique sounds. I'll try and keep most of it in Ableton Live and just Silent. I tend to try and keep to 1 or 2 synths now, and I'm using Ableton Synths quite a lot just recently in terms for the bass sounds, because there's some new introductions of some really good wavetable instruments here, especially in the bass section. You've got some really good 303s, FM house bass organ. They replace a lot of good sounds that I have in Silent anyway. So you know, it makes sense to try and become creative with these packs. But the wavetable is fantastic, and this is where I was talking about the MPE function. You can control certain parameters within here. Automate themselves, and then inside the MIDI we can actually then come into the new section here into probability pressure slide. We can start sort of controlling certain parameters that are linked to this MPE function. Now Ableton has built into most of its instruments, like sampler I believe is in there as well. So you just keep an eye on this, guys. Again, there's so much to go over. I'm not sort of trying to go over and explain everything in detail in this video. I just want to sort of cover some of the new things that are in here that can really get you started and get creative really quickly. So let's just go back to the pack, see if it's installed. And do I have my synth essentials? Yes, we do. We have some instruments, so basses. Okay, and the beauty of this, guys, as well, is that if there's any updates for these, are old Ableton Live 10 packs, and there's 2 updates for these. As you can see, it's waiting for it, so make sure you've got plenty of hard drive space for this. A couple of new features I do like in Ableton Live is this new CPU feature, which you can see your average CPU usage and also your currency overload indication. It's also available on the channels. Not in the delay there, but if we come up onto these channels, you can see at the bottom of each channel here there's a CPU indicator, and it tells you when you've got an overload on a particular channel. So one of your synths might be causing a glitch, and you can quickly identify what's causing it, so then you can just go in and highlight and freeze that track very quickly, and then that just prints it to an audio in the background, and then you could just download it, or you know, just copy it down to an audio track and have it as an audio file, because some plugins will cause overload. Some of these as well, especially, will cause a lot of overload because they're quite powerful, so be mindful of that. But yeah, fantastic feature in there. So you've got your current and average CPU, audio engine. You can switch on and off from here instead of having to keep on going into the preferences panel. While we're quickly in the preferences, there are a few changes coming into here as well. Again, be mindful of your sort of unwarped warp loops. They've taken away just the Complex Pro. We're back down to Complex now. Got a few different toggle modes. We've got a gate, toggle, repeat, and obviously we've got this new the global mode is still exactly the same. Just see if there's anything else in the changes here. No, it's pretty much still the same, apart from we've obviously got some nice dark themes and a few different light themes as well. It's my license. I recorded audio warp. I've gone through that, and ARM tracks again, ARM solo. So what I'm going to start doing is start using this. I'm going to show you the record feature on recording this bass line in. So I'm not going to play this bass line. I'm just going to mute that. I'm going to start a new bass line. I'm going to play a few takes in, let it run round, and show you what happens with the recording track lanes. So you can see pretty much just messing around there, playing, not playing brilliantly, but you can see what's happened. So it's now taken this part and this part as the actual clip. So I'll just open that up a little bit more so you can see that. Okay, so we've got these lanes now, obviously because I finished playing there and stopped just right there on the, it's just literally doing that. And you can see what happens. Look, as soon as I start to do that, it shows you which part of the track has been affected. So I'm just going to put that right the way across. So I've got that one. Okay, so you can hear that. Obviously the timing's not brilliant. I haven't got my quantize on. I tend to record with it off because sometimes I get some notes on a nice sort of off position and I like to keep them there. I can just highlight and quantize in. So what I can start to do now is go through all of the MIDI parts and start looking at them, and I can click on them obviously, and every individual take is there, and you can see I've got a different variation there. So what I can start doing is colouring my variations. Different variation there, and we can start to sort of look around at these. Now this is saying scale G minor. Now I'm going to come into this a second. I'm just going to turn this scale off a second. We're inside this particular part. In fact, we're just going to turn scale off there as well. So I just wanted to sort of touch on this before we sort of move on to the scale sort of section. I'll come back to the scale section in a second. So I just want to go through. So say if I've got this section here and I'm just making sure that my scale's turned off on all of these, because I was recording in a different bass part and I've still left the scale on the MIDI, so it's actually still turned on at the moment. So just making sure that's turned off, because I'm not sure what scale this is in yet. I've literally just played it in and you can see it's on it starts with a root of where we start in our route, and you can see that's one whole long MIDI recording. Look, so each section is showing the whole loop. If I go into that, and that's what it is literally doing. All it's doing is playing and recording everything, the whole thing in one section, and it's playing that loop there. So whichever's highlighted. So if I want this change to come in, I just go like that, press enter, and that changes that. And you can see it changes the colour, which is fantastic because you can see that your MIDI part is made up of different sections, and that's why getting colour in straight away makes it more visual on the eye, easier to edit things very, very quickly. So again, if I wanted that part of that bass line there, I can do that, and obviously before I do that, I'm going to colour that in pink so I can see it's a different section. And you can see I can just completely make up a new bass line out of all the sections very, very quickly. Very useful. And I just want to copy those across. And you can see only that part copies. So if you want to make sure that your lanes are copied as well, I'm just going to delete that last one. So you have to make sure that you copy your lanes as well, otherwise they won't copy across. So remember, they are separate recordings within inside this. Now obviously now these are split, can't do anything with it. It's only one separate split because it's taking this split, it's not taking the whole section. So again, if I wanted to change that look, we'll throw that one in there and completely change up the bass line altogether. And I think that's so fantastic and useful because you can just comp everything, and it's exactly the same with the audio. So I'm just going to create an audio track. I'm going to set this to resampling, resample mode. Where are we? Sorry, resampling. So I'm just going to record this audio. I'm just going to turn everything else off. I'm just going to record this in. just going to make sure that's working, guys. 1 second. So bear with me. Okay, so you can see what I did there. Literally, as I was going through making different recordings, audio recordings, I was just switching up and changing these as well in real time, and going back in and changing them up. And you can see how it's really, really quick and simple to do that. And again, if, for example, this track was using too much CPU, you could just then freeze it off and then go in and start comping. And you've got the bass in exactly the same. So we're just going to change the colours of these again, just so you can see the influence of it. I'm just going to say, for example, I wanted that little section there, and I want maybe that section there. Say if it was a different bass line part, and you could just again start comping. So you can see how useful this is for vocals, synths, bass lines, drums, anything really. So quick and simple and easy to use. You're not touching any tools, you're not having to right click anything, you're just literally highlighting the section and saying, oh, I like that there, I want that in there, and I want to read that was a different bassline section here maybe, so I'm going to do that there, and so on and so forth. Really, really quick and simple. So let me just get rid of some of these, and I'm going to make a step back, and we're going to start using some of these sounds in here and some of the plugins, and go through some of the new features with the hybrid plugin, for example, and just see if I can come up with a little track idea. So I'm not going to spend too much time. I've got about half an hour left now, and that's it. And then tomorrow I'm going to start doing a video on how to develop your own unique sounds and start coming up with your own unique style. It took me quite a while going through different phases, different stages of music production, trying different things with bass lines like electro, complextro, progressive house, deep house stuff. So I want to sort of show you how you can really use Ableton Live to sort of become creative and develop that sound that you're looking for, with all of the inbuilt stuff, because there's so much stuff to literally cover. I could not physically do that all of in one hour session today. So yeah, let's just carry on. So I'm going to go silent for a while and just get into it. Right, guys, it seems to be having a little bit of a wobbly. This does. It's selecting a section and it's not actually recording it. I'm not sure what's going on here. Of course. Got to unfreeze my track. Silly boy, I forgot to froze my track, didn't I? Of course I did, yes. So let's get into this. Now this is where I used to struggle with my music theory, and this is a perfect time to sort of introduce the new scale function. So what we're going to do is find out what key this is in. Obviously it's in a G sharp, so I need to select my G sharp. So it's either G sharp, A flat, and I'm going to turn on my scale. I want to keep it in minor, so you can select that, major, minor. So you can see my notes, and it will tell me that I'm in a minor scale. So let's have a look at my MIDI sections and my MIDI parts. Okay, so again, each of these are turned off at the moment. So I will obviously, when I decide on the parts I want, I will actually select them and turn the scales on. But I'm just sort of getting the scale for this at the moment, because this will help me now actually improve the part very, very quickly. So you can see we've got also our velocity's changed. We've got this new little velocity line. Instead of the old stick that used to come up, velocity candle. And also our chance. So these are the chances that the notes will actually play. So that obviously when you drop these lower, they will sometimes play and sometimes won't play. So very, very useful. We could also again randomize. You can see that there, look. So I could select all of these notes very quickly and we could randomize all of the chance, and that's what the chance is. It's randomized. It's linked with that. So chance links in with velocity in this instance here. MIDI control lanes are still the same here, and again this is where that pressure and slide section is. So I'm going to come on. Obviously I've got a G sharp, A flat. So that's it. Very, very handy to know. So somebody who doesn't understand music theory, or if you're just learning music theory, you can sort of start to get into it, say, okay, well that note's on a G sharp. What can I work in? So I could work in a G sharp or an A flat straight away. And then if you hit this, we've got the two functions now. We used to have the fold button, so this will just fold all of the notes that are already there. But if you click this, this will actually bring in the scale as well. So I'm just going to bring those down, and you can see it actually highlights and shows every single note in your scale, which is so useful because you could just literally put your draw mode on and put a quantize in, say some 8 notes, and you can just start drawing around and come up with a bass line. So simple. And you know that every note is going to be in key. So let's have a go at that. Let's see if we can come up with a bass line instead of me playing this awful bass line I've played in. Let's see if we can come up with one in key. So again, as I say, I just wanted to show you this function, the recording, so I'm just going to get rid of all of these. But now I know my key. We're just going to go in, record a 2-bar loop, and come up with a pattern. I always start with 2 bars with a bass line because you always need a call and a response at least, and that's when you can sort of start to progress as you move forward. On the second section I make a slight tweak towards the end here. So let's go in here. We're going to go with a stay with the same scale, so minor. I'm going to turn the scale on, and we can see we've got all of these notes. So if I take that off, you can see your notes in between. These are not in your scale. Again, quick way to learn music theory. So we can just go into here, and we're going to start plotting some notes across in let's go stay in a 16 pattern. And I'm going to put my drums on. This little drum machine I've got down here, which is this flexible drum machine. And there you go, very quickly managed to get that into time. And the help of the musical scale has really brought that in. So if we're just going to turn that off, and you can see then the notation. And that's a nice little pattern for me, sort of stepping across, stepping down, back up. A nice little simple sort of garage house bass. And again, I am using, as I say, for this, a bass organ. It is the wavetable. It's fantastic. It's got its filters automated here in the MPE, so you can see there's a slide and pressure on there. You can control the pressure as well if we wanted to, and that would send the pressure then there, and then we could go into this part and then mess around with this pressure and the slide. So let's come into here and see what we can get out of it. And I can't remember how to actually draw into this now. I think, do we need to select all my notes? This is where I'm sort of kind of get unstuck a little bit, because it's, again, it's just finding out these new features. It should allow you to draw. It just changes the actual order of them. No, you can't actually draw in the pressure here at the moment. That's something I need to find out. I did watch a video on it the other day, and I do want to quickly mention, guys, as I say, this is not like a full in-depth tutorial, but I want you to sort of be aware that there are many tutorials out there on Live 11. If you just type in Ableton Live walkthrough, you can see there's hundreds of videos. It's a particularly decent channel I found here, and it covers all of the features in detail. So I suggest you check out some of those, and you can see that obviously there's a few different ones, creating a house beat in Ableton Live 11 and stuff, but very handy. Get over there and check some of those out. So this is not so much of a in-depth feature by feature video, it's more of just trying to create a track in Ableton Live 11, opening it up for the first time, getting used to it really. That's what I sort of want to do, and show you how you can sort of get creative with it. So I'm going to sort of throw in some chords now. I'm just going to get rid of these track lanes as well, because I don't need these at the moment. It's only if I was recording in lots of bass line ideas. I wanted to spend some time doing that, but I want to get through some things as quick as possible really. So we're going to introduce the reverb, the new where are we, I'll show you the spectral time first, and then I'm going to show you the new convolution reverb. And the spectral delay is probably not the best thing to play on a bass. It's probably more with effects on vocals and stuff, but I just wanted to show you some of the features in that. This sort of tilt feature and the freeze features that they introduced as well. You can just freeze the effect that's on there. So again, I probably wouldn't use this actually on there. I'm more likely to maybe use the reverb. Where's the new reverbs? So we've got yeah, I thought it was in there. Hybrid, there we are. So we've got this new hybrid drums special space room. Let's go with an Echo Street, or should we go with a room, more like a room, dirty synth room, yeah. how the actual convolution reverb has actually got like a little bit of a bit crusher inside there as well, so you can go into the vintage mode. Obviously you can bring it down into stereo or mono. Reverbs tend to be in stereo usually. If you're putting a reverb or an effect on something, you put it on into stereo, and more likely be like if it's on a vocal, the vocal's in mono, recorded in mono, and then the effect is put on in stereo. So be mindful of that. The introducing effects like reverbs in stereo is far better. But yeah, you can see how I can sort of completely change that bass up with it's it's actually a real chamber made for drums, synths, or whatever. We can bring in some early reflections as well. And again, it's not something I'd really use on a bass, loads of reverb. If it depends. If it's more of a mid bass, then I would go for that. Yeah, definitely. So let's get into this other feature again of recording some chords. So let's bring in a what we got here. That was a sub bass, wasn't it? Let's bring in some chords. Maybe a piano. Let's go for electric. And see what we've got in instruments. Guys, it's not quite what I'm looking for, but it's not the kind of sort of thing I'm looking for at the moment. And again, there's so many things in here to try and find the sound that you're looking for. Right, as you see there, guys, you know, sort of just playing through things really, and just trying to sort of find ideas. And I'm not the best at playing, so if I was to just show my lanes in there, you can see I've literally recorded so many different things I've just taken, and there might be a little gem in there. And again, this is why this is so useful when you sort of can't sort of make any music and stuff. This is a great way to sort of get in and start understanding some theory. But I'm going to come away from this kind of sounds at the moment. I don't want an electric piano. I'm just sort of trying to show you things, recording really on the fly. What can we go with this? I think maybe we'll go with a house bass or an organ bass. Maybe the organ might sound nice as a chord. It's really difficult for me to sort of play while I'm actually got this in front of me at the moment. So. Just going to duplicate this, guys. I'm going to just sort of record this organ, and I'm going to come back to this bass and maybe change the bass to a different sound, but I want this organ as the highest sound, so I'm literally just going to record in something new in here altogether. And again, this is what happens when you start sort of coming up with ideas, and you just got to keep flowing with it, and you won't always get it right to start off with. Sometimes I can go in with an idea and it comes out right away. Other times it can take me ages to actually get something going, because again, music theory, I'm not brilliant at playing. So this is why having this scale function is so useful, and I can't emphasize it enough really. But let me just sort of try and record something in here. And again, so I'm just sort of demonstrating on the fly. I'm not really sort of coming up with stuff and trying to sort of come up with a track as such at the moment. I'm just sort of testing things out and finding those functions and how you can, you can sort of really get creative with it. And that's, for me, this sort of being able to record stuff on the fly. And you can see it's very difficult to be able to microphone right in front of me and trying to sort of play things and move my hands around, so I'm having to keep on throwing things back. But I'm trying to keep it very simple here. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take those lines away. I'm just actually going to get rid of this whole track again, and we're going to actually sort of start building something up. What happened there? Actually, that's the wrong one. I seem to have actually got rid of my track, guys, by mistake. I think I've recorded over my bass line. I got rid of my bass line, yeah, I did. I'm going to have to just quickly go back a few steps while I just undo what I've done. There we go, I've lost my bass line. I recorded it on the actual wrong track. That was silly of me, but it's the beauty of Ableton. We can actually step back. There we go. I should have recorded on that one, but never mind. I sort of just want to show you sort of overdubbing on the top of here. Now, if I wasn't to play and wanted to play something over the top, watch this. Just literally play it along. So you can see how that's completely just lost the whole MIDI parts, but you can just overdub in any particular time you want. So if I just wanted to overdub that section there, I could loop that there and just overdub that and play in some new notes. And you can see how just literally you just got so, you can just find a different take very, very quickly again. So it's important just to really get to grips with this MIDI thing and be mindful of what happens when you start editing things in here. Anything you take away from here, this is the original clip it's playing, so anything that you bring in from this section here, be mindful of it. And that's why, again, that I change the colors of my tracks so that I know if I'm using that, it changes its color. Very, very important. So as I say, I'm just playing around really. I'm not sort of, I'm trying to develop a track, but let's have a go. So we're in that, and let's start throwing a few samples in and stuff as well, and see what we can come up with. What I'm doing here is I'm just sort of creating a different variation at the other end, and I just wanted to see what it was like. So before I change that variation, I could do it through the MIDI lanes, obviously if I was playing it in, but there's no point in this stage. Let's see what we've got here on this section. So you can see I just dropped that note sort of down there like that, so that I'm literally moving into that next bass line onto the next part there. So that's all I've done, just to move into that key into there. Again, let's just make sure that these parts, I'm just going to glue all of this together as one whole part now, because I'm happy with this. And then I can just put my scale back on and make sure I'm in the right key, G sharp minor, and you can make sure that my notes are all there, like in key. I think that's absolutely fantastic for just plotting things out and stuff. I will play around with more things with the chance and the probability, and when I find things I will create more short videos. For now this was me just sort of going through Ableton Live. We're coming up to the hour now, so I'm sort of going to knock it on the head. As I say, it's not really a full video on every single feature in Live, it's just sort of trying to sort of introduce you to some of the core features, some of the changes. I suggest that you sort of go through, get to grips, and if you come into the side hand here, we come back from this and we go home, we can see what's new in Ableton Live. So we've got the hybrid spectral resonator, spectral time, chorus ensembler, phaser and flanger, which is new, phaser and flanger, which is like a proper flanger. In fact, we'll try that out in a second. Redux update, wavetable update, sampler update, simpler updates, MPE control, new features and refinements. So vocal comping, I've gone over, or just comping in general. So if you click on each one of these, it will actually go through and show you and explain about it, each individual section. We've got a new tempo follow button as well, up the top there as well. In the left, you can show tempo follow. You can got the new tempo change feature. If we just come out of there a second, a new tempo change feature here. If you notice now on the actual master, you drag your master out, you've got tempo change. Now before, when I did a tempo change, I used to type it in the scene. Here I just sort of rename that scene, and I'd put my BPM 120, say 3 BPM. Well, you don't no longer need to do that because it's there. You can actually just go in and change your BPMs, whatever you want to, for every individual scene, which is again great for live, quickly changing on the fly in the live mode, when you're in clip view and doing a live performance. So again, another fantastic little feature there. Whoa, hang on, just I need to go back into there. Well, let me bring it forward. There we go. So we've got a new tempo follow and lots of other new features, MIDI note velocity, probability functions, follow actions improvements, multi-clip editing improvements. There's so much stuff, but as I say, if you want to go into more detail, obviously check those videos I've showed you, and also click into here, and also make sure that you always leave your info on as well. Show info, that can be found, I believe, in your preferences somewhere. It'll always say show info, view, show info, there we go. So info's on, and you can always find out everything about what's going on. So as soon as you hover over that chance probability editor, probability can change by clicking and dragging up and down on the probability. So if we did that, it changed the notes. Again, if I did that, same with the randomize, and I do that, you can see the chance or the probability is now changed of those notes to play. there's that little feature that I was looking for earlier on at the start of the video. So the velocity range, there we go. So what we can do is we can jump the velocity ranges down. Now I'm just going to select all of these notes. We're going to bring the velocities right down, and you can see now we've got a range. So the notes will play from anywhere from below 64 up to 127 in their velocity. I can change this range in the plus and minus. Okay. So you'll notice there, guys, that to change these individually, just for the randomize, that you have to select them, and the lanes will then change the chance and your probability. And you also have the same, I think, on the velocity there, so we can play that. Look, we dropped that. We're going to randomize the velocities a second. That's better. And then I'm going to bring up the chance, randomize the chances as well. If I want to obviously select all of those and bring them back up, and you want to reset, just bring them back up and highlight them. There is no sort of adjustment on that. That only affects the velocity there. Okay, so very important to understand what's going on, because it can get a little bit messy. Now I need to obviously get into this and try and sort of find out and how to actually physically draw into these sections. This is the part that's actually eluding me at the moment. Ah, there we go. So it's literally, it is this case of highlighting the notes and stuff. And I think it looks like that you have to do things individually. Yeah. So it's note per note, pressure and slide. Let's have a play around with this. And I think the best way to demonstrate this will probably be to go and just put a couple of notes in. I'm just going to take this MIDI pattern away for a second. I'm just literally going to come in and create a 1 to 2 bar loop, just so I can play the notes and see what happens when they slide, when there's a full note playing. Doesn't seem to be affecting the note anywhere there, so it's something I've got to get to the bottom of, and I need to sort of look into that, how it's going to actually start working on that synthesizer. So it's all linked to do with this slide of pressure here, so we can plus and minus the pressure of a note and the slide of a note in this matrix section. So obviously just be mindful of that. You've got your matrix, don't get it mixed up with this MPE controller. This controller affects around this section only, but at this particular stage we can't sort of hear what's going on. I probably need a better synth or something that's got responds to a little bit better to the pressure of the sound. Yeah, that's something I'm going to have to sort of look into, guys, and really get to grips with. But I'm going to sort of wrap it up now. We've gone past the hour. I want to try and keep this under an hour, really. But it's, as I say, it's not really a constructive track making video. It's more of just sort of going in and seeing what you can actually get out of Ableton Live 11. I was going to aim to try and make a track, but at this stage I'm not going to sort of go into that. I'm just wanting to sort of go over your features. You can see, you know, things like wavetable update. This is where all this MPE slide controller has been put in. An MPE text label has been added to the right corner of the bar, so you can see that there we were just on about. All MPE modulation sources now appear in the device's expanded view. So I need to get to grips with all of this over the coming weeks. It's all new to me. I'm completely new to this feature of MPE. I've only just got to grips with wavetable, really. But yeah, one thing I want to touch on is grooves as well. If you notice now in grooves, instead of having to go into your user library and come into grooves, grooves is no longer available there. So you'll notice that they've just literally introduced grooves there. Also, this templates feature, I think this is a great little feature, because what you can start to do is save your tracks as a template. Save live as template now. Instead of just as a default set, you can actually save your templates. So I think that's a very useful feature that you can start setting up, like for a house track, for a trance track, whatever style that you're doing in. You get your kit set up ready very quickly, and you just open up, literally double click on it, and it will open up the suite. It should do. I don't want it to actually open up this at this particular stage, but that is a template that you can actually sort of get into. MIDI templates as well. So yeah, very useful to use. Now these are just my features. All your samples, if you notice as well, have all been sort of dropped in order. In order. We've also got loads of clips again. So much stuff we can sort of go into. It's just sort of start making a track from. You can see how you can quickly just get into Ableton Live and just start making a track with just any kit, really. I've never really used any of these, but they are great starting points, because you can just go in and start shaping the kit how you want. You've got a pattern already in there. You can see how the velocity's been already set up for you. The chance that obviously you want all of your notes to play. If you were to drop the chance down on this, obviously you can see the difference. So I'm just going to sort of show you this. So again guys, I'm just showing you this flexible probability pack plugin from you can download, and it just literally gets your instant drum started off again straight away. You can see that by changing the rate, it actually slows down the pace of the drum, so you can actually go into half time with your drums. I'm just trying to find something, guys. I can't seem to find the Redux. As you can see, there's a Redux inside this as well. So I just wanted to go over this Redux and show you this. And can I find it? Redux. So you can see we've got on Redux, we've got a new filter section. We've got pre and post filter. We've got a new rate plugin. And the bits have been tidied up as well. It's a lot smoother. So if I'm just going to play you this, even though we've got one here, I'm just going to play you this separately. Okay, so you can see I can get very creative with that. You can make it almost so glitchy. You can just record that, and then you've got perfect glitches. So we can just obviously just go into some audio, go into resample mode again, and we're just going to literally record this only. We're going to turn everything else off. In fact, everything else is off, apart from the kick. try that again, guys. One sec. Okay, so you can see what I'm trying to do is then I've got all these take lines. I've got all these little clips, these glitches. So if I want to just plot out a glitch, you know, I can just sort of say, well, okay, I like that, I like that, I like that. See, I can just start recording drums and you know, making up your own little glitches, and it's perfect if you do it with vocals. You can start making vocal stutters and glitches, and start adding those layers into your sound and stuff. And again, there's so much for me to go over, guys. I literally cannot go over and show you everything that's in live right in sort of this session, and I'm trying to do as much in depth as I can, really. But yeah, so tomorrow I'm going to end the session now. Tomorrow what we're going to do is start showing you how to sort of develop your own sound and start coming up with your own sound ideas, taking a synthesizer, throwing a chord in there, pretty much, and how to sort of look and reverse engineer and look into other tracks, other productions, other people's ideas and productions, and sort of just look at some techniques. I'm going to break down, hopefully get a couple of different templates and go in the templates, have a look at them, break them down, what they've done, and just sort of learn from it. I want to show you a few sort of techniques that they use on bass, and sort of introducing your bass, filtering your bass in with reverb and delays and filters at the same time. Just so many different production techniques that you can sort of employ into your track. And then what you need to start doing is, once you've got these production techniques set up into your track in a template, you then start to save them as your templates that you can go into, start working very, very quickly. And that's how I learned to develop my own sound. So it's alright, guys, I forget the camera's over on this left hand side, and I forget that I'm not actually looking at the camera at the top all the time. So apologise, I'm not being sort of rude to the camera. I'm just sort of thinking out loud and trying to explain things. So it wasn't meant to be a session today to just go into things into massive detail. Like I say, there's lots of videos out there on that. We just wanted to sort of go over some of the features that I think are absolutely amazing. They're going to help me in my music production, like I say, because I'm not brilliant at playing, but I've got ideas in my head, and this musical scale section and comping can help me get those ideas down very, very quickly. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to start sort of throwing a track together, developing your ideas. So I'm not actually going to try and make a track in full again. I'm literally showing you how I would go around developing some ideas, putting my ideas together, looking for the style that I'm looking for. Mostly I work in deep house styles now, but we can also go over like a progressive house style. And over the coming next couple of weeks, I'm going to go over those different styles on how I'd go around producing a progressive house track and future house type of track, and just sort of coming up with your ideas and your bass lines, really, and what you should do when you have those. There's little functions. So for example, if I got this bass line and you want to use this later, I could go in and save this, and as a little function, I could just drag it over across into my parts and my clips, and I can save it as an ALC file. It should just allow you drag them in, or it should let you right click and save it. Obviously you could export the clips if you wanted to and save up your own bank. If you make, you're looking to make some MIDI clips and making like a song file bank, a sample bank that you want to give away, or a MIDI bank, you obviously want to export them, but you can also save them as ALC files, and not many people use this or know this, and this is what these are. They're just programmed files that are already been sort of pre-made for you to get into and start messing around with. Really, it's mostly kits and drum kits they've got saved in here, but you can do it into these as well. You're not going to save it as an also, sorry, I'll rephrase what I was going to say there. What I also do as well is, if I'm making a sound, I will save it in here and save it as an ADV or an ADG file. It just depends. And if I come to my audio packs here, where are we? My user library. I think it's my user library. I've got my own sort of presets. If I come into audio effects rack, obviously got these here. I've got my own master chains, my Stutter King, my twist plugin I use, a new master change that I've created. So what I do is, when I'm working along in my tracks, I tend to sort of just create these templates. If I've messed around with an instrument, again, I do the same thing, and you start to build up your own little instrument rack of sounds. I think it's very, very important, really, so that you can get into to start doing things quickly in Ableton Live when you start to produce. So that's what I'm going to cover over the next few weeks. And I just quickly, before we end, I wanted to show you our new website. We are now available. I'm going to start pushing this next week more so, but we've actually now fixed the login issue. So we can actually now click on the login and it will work and log you in and keep you logged in. There was an issue with the login. It wouldn't work properly. Once you logged in, create an account, it automatically logs you in, but it wouldn't then, when you log out and try to log back in, it wouldn't actually work. So we've managed to fix this, and this will be available. I just wanted to sort of mention that you can get a discount on when you train with us. If you do more than 20 hours of training on our live one-to-one courses, you can get a discount on Ableton Live, an education discount. And also coming soon as well, we are teamed up with Auteria, and you'll be able to get a discount on your software with Auteria. If you come through and train with us, we'll be able to actually send that you directly over to the guys, and we give you a letter to prove, or a document to prove that you are working and training with us. So you can actually get some discounts on your software, and it goes for both with the Ableton Live and with the Auteria plugins. We have to give you proof that you are training with us. So keep an eye out for that in the coming weeks. I'll be doing some marketing and advertising on that, but I just want to give you a quick preview. We are going to start advertising the live sessions through the front of the end of the channel, so these will start to appear on here. I'll be using a plugin for that directly to map into the back end of YouTube. So our live sessions will become available when we've got the upcoming webinars or any past webinars. We've got a tracks feature with Jerome, so Jerome will teach you how to finish your tracks in a 2-hour session. So it's available as well. So these products are being set up. Some of them are available in the back ends. I'm just finishing off some of the products, and then over the coming weeks we'll introduce you to the website and the services that we're offering: acoustic services, mastering, ghost production. We've teamed up with a partner of ours who's a ghost production. So we've got ghost production services, or we can direct you over to our ghost producers website. So yeah, that's what's coming, guys. Stay tuned. Have a great weekend, or sorry, actually have a great Thursday. It's not the weekend just yet, is it? I'm a day ahead of myself. So yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow, and I'm going to start plotting now what I'm going to sort of teach you. So I'm going to go into a few things, as say, tomorrow, just on creating sort of bass. So we'll probably start with bass tomorrow, bass synths, and we've already done a drum programming session. So that's how to create your own unique drums. We've done that a few weeks ago. So I want to sort of go into, as I say, how to develop and look at other producers' styles, look at other producers' tracks. There's plenty of free resources out there that you can download, and you can reverse engineer and look at how they've created a particular technique. So we're going to do some of that tomorrow and sort of strip down a few things and look into them and how the production techniques have been put together and how you can start to incorporate those into your own productions. Okay, so have a great evening. I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.